I think you need to keep the day job, Tiff, to be quite honest.
Look, anything Colin McRae can do, I can do better. Anyway, here we are, stage start, our first car, Marco Martin.
Yeah, Marco Martin, now, he's an interesting guy. He's 24 years old, but he looks about 16. He comes from Tallinn in Estonia. I don't know much about Estonian rally driving, I don't suppose you do either, but Ove Andersson, who's the head of the Toyota rally organisation, says this guy's going to be a world champion one of these days. Here's the jump, what's it like?
Incredible speed difference there, even they're pretty to about 120 miles an hour coming out the jump. Now this long open straight, but this next section, you cannot believe how narrow it is. There's a fence post each side of you. This is the last breath of fresh air he's going to get for the next 2.5 minutes.
Do you reckon somebody, or several people are going to hit those fence posts as they go round?
Yeah, the top guys make it look so easy. It's the amateurs further down the back, and we have the same sort of problems as I had. And it's the change of grip that we've got on this stage. It's so dramatic, from good gravel here, now into this farm-out section. Martin flicks it sideways, gets the grip, and there you can see how little traction there is on that wet concrete.
Yeah, there's a bottling plant just to the left there. I hope they don't go through there. It'll make a horrible noise. Marco Martin, you'll begin to see the split times down to the right of your screen. This guy knows all about it. He's not in one of the works teams yet. He did compete here last year, top 10 finish, finished 9th, so he knows his way around. He's done a couple of the World Championship rounds this season. Best performance, 5th in Greece, so he has scored World Championship points. Now, just explain the difference in surface. We're on the tarmac, now we go down towards the lake and down onto the gravel. Just how different is that when you make it?
Yeah, this is the last, there's a little chicane now, a little
yeah.
bit more. That's the very time where it's very muddy. It's going to get more and more muddy as the stage goes on. A final bit of tarmac now before we break and do a 90 ride onto gravel. And Martin's running 14th over the rally, so he really has had a good day so far, the leading privateer. They're blast downhill. Now it's incredibly muddy downhill. It's much steeper than it looks on camera. About to get our first split time here. You'll see the clock stops there, 1 minute 46.6.
Now, I know you said you didn't want to end up in the lake, but do you think somebody's going to go a little bit too far and just behind those barriers end up in the water?
I don't think these top boys are going to, but you never know what's going to happen. It's this long right's all right because the car's trying to slide up the hill, but now this nasty left-hand, it's adverse camber, very slippery. You see Martin there taking it very gently, even the top boys. They know that's a hazard. They don't want to avoid that on the first day. They don't want to make in the water.
He looks a quick young man. As I said, I saw him going through the recce in Wales a few days ago. He just looks like a schoolboy who's booked off school for a couple of days to go up.
Even he's struggling there for traction. It's a very tight uphill left-hand. They come away from the lake, back up onto the higher ground. Again, through this fast section of the trees. Not much of a corner, but tree stumps, ruts, roots that don't have any grip on them stick out and try and catch you, try to throw the car off the other side of the road.
And then you come off this middle section, which is a bit of gravel, bit of mud, and then back onto the tarmac eventually and onto the flying finish. Let's just take him around there.
That's our second split there. We see
Second
2
split.
minutes 49.7 as he comes back onto the tarmac roads.
But what we'll be showing as the top drivers come through is the difference in time between them and Marco Martin at the start of that gravel section, at the end of the gravel section. See how much time they make up on what is probably the hardest part of the circuit. Now, you liked this bit.
Yeah, this is the section.
We
We won't see much of this section with the other drivers. Going to be cutting from the first section to the flying finish. Here's the open bit of straight. They've got a nice bit of dry tarmac, but again, one of these nasty little chicanes. So easy to make a silly mistake. No grip at all. Leaves, mud, trees both sides of you. It really is so easy to slip up. Now open section again, now building up towards the flying finish. We've got one fast left over those cattle grids, not a lot of grip. Easy to throw the car sideways, very narrow. He's taking a double cut. I just cut across the middle. He went to the right before the left. These rally drivers, if you give them any opportunity to cut the corners, they'll take it. We'll see a bit more grass now, I believe.
It doesn't slow them down at all.
No, now full throttle up to the... It does if you go out wide on the exit like I did. You've got to get on the tarmac on the exit of the corner to the flying finish.
Now, we thought it was going to take about 3 minutes 15, but Marco Martin, 4 minutes 1.6 seconds. Quicker than you, Tiff?
Just slight.
Just slightly.
Gwyndaf, come on.
Good old Gwyndaf. Now, he's had an interesting season, Gwyndaf. He's done a lot of testing after so many years with Ford. He's now very much part of the SEAT team. Turned 40 this year, Gwyndaf. British champion 1996, 6th in the Rally of Great Britain in 1995. He doesn't have a top-line drive for next year, but he's probably going to spend a lot of the time developing this SEAT World Rally car. And this is his 13th consecutive Rally Great Britain, so if anybody knows it, he does. Here's the split time going into the mid-section. Gwyndaf, 1:47.3.
So that's a little bit slower than Martin. So Gwyndaf is having a steady start. He's only running 16th overall at the moment, and he wants to get into those Welsh forests. He wants to go into his home territory. Doesn't want to make a silly mistake today on these opening stages. And you say Gwyndaf getting old. Gwyndaf will never get old. He still looks like a 16-year-old choir boy. The enthusiasm this man has for motoring is just beyond belief. And of course, he's got his great co-driver alongside with him. So a great pairing, these two.
Howard Davis, who's lost a lot of weight, I think, over recent years. Viewers may remember they had that horrifying accident in Chatsworth 3 or 4 years ago when they turned the car 3 times, and Howard said the first time I thought yes, the second time I thought okay, and the third time I thought this is going to hurt.
Right, second split coming up. 2 minutes 49.7 was Martin's the one to beat. Will Gwyndaf have made up a bit of time on that slippy section around the lake?
I suspect he did just. That wasn't made absolutely clear to us, but I think Gwyndaf was quicker through there. A lot of people think he could have a top 6 finish this year.
It'd be fabulous to see. I don't know how many more times Gwyndaf there. Gwyndaf's gone wide as I did, in fact. Lost the traction on the grass, heading for this flying finish. 4:01 Martin's time. Will Gwyndaf go quicker?
Just a second outside, so Marco Martin remains the quickest on this particular stage at the moment. And the next one through, the first of the Skoda. You know all about Skoda's, Tiff. I don't think I need to say too much, but this is Armin Schwartz.
I've finished the rally in a Skoda fleet, survived.
Let's tell you about Armin Schwartz, car number 11 we see through here in the Skoda Octavia World Rally car. Good elevation there going over the jump. One of the great development drivers, Armin Schwartz. The Skoda team had a couple of Czech drivers. They decided if they were really going to develop, and he's quicker than Martin, only by a tenth of a second, but he is quicker, that he was the man they needed to develop the team, and he's really developed it a lot this year. Don't expect the Skoda to finish up in the top 6. I think they'll be delighted if they can just finish at all.
Yeah, it's a heavier car. They've got problems with the power to weight ratio. They just need to get a bit of a weight off the car, a bit more power out of the engine. But it's still great to see Skoda competing at this highest level of motorsport. And I think the future's holds a lot of promise for them.
And the great thing about Armin Schwartz is he is a mechanic and he can sort things out as he travels. I mean, marvellous incident a couple of years ago at the Safari Rally. He got his co-driver's boot laces to
very near the
accelerator. Very nearly ended up in the lake. I thought you said they were quite good at this, Lark. Second split's going to come up in a minute. He won, of course, here in 1996, but it wasn't a World Championship event, and it didn't last snow that year.
Trying to slow down. You see a desperate brake lights going on and off as the brakes lock and then unlock. The driver trying to keep control there. 1.3 seconds quicker now, so Schwartz setting a new pace for our Millennium Super Special at the moment. Open hairpin left on tarmac. And now coming right up towards the finish line, the final corner on the run to the finish. Can he beat Martin's time? It looks like he should do by a second or two.
1.1 second quicker than Marco Martin, so Armin Schwartz sets the new quickest time on this super special stage. This isn't a bad stage, you know, they complain on the first day, don't they? This is the last year, of course, that we're going to have these parkland stages. This is Bruno Thierry.
Yeah, his new teammate into the farm section, this tricky little technical section, where this next right-hander very tricky. It draws you in, you're not quite sure what's going to happen, and it's very easy to go out wide into those straw bales.
Big event for Bruno because he hasn't had a World Championship drive throughout the year. He's doing this as a one-off. I was talking to him on Friday night. He said he hopes to be driving for Skoda in the year 2000, but there are several of the top drivers who don't have a drive for next year, and they also will be looking to compete. So Bruno Thierry, fastest. Well, it's interesting. He's quicker than his teammate. He's quicker than Martin. He's got the fastest split time going through this gravelly section.
Thierry actually, of course, goes into this station 12th place overall. That's 6 places ahead of Schwartz. So Thierry's done very well on his Skoda debut. And yet we saw Martin's time there. Of course, Schwartz had been fractionally quicker, a 10th quicker than Martin at that stage. So nevertheless, it looks like Schwartz is going to maybe set a new time for us.
How easy is it for a driver like Bruno Thierry to just get into a car that he perhaps doesn't know on a World Championship event and be able to drive it up into the top 10?
Well, he's top professional. I mean, he's driven to all sorts of teams. He's done this rally many times before. So actually jumping into a new car isn't that different. He'll be frustrated by the lack of power. Maybe he's been used to another car. But actually adapting to a new car doesn't take these boys long at all.
And of course, he's driven it on the recce through Wales, so he knows a little bit how it handles. But this is the first time he's seen it full throttle.
He's off full throttle down there, the car snaking sideways through that narrow section. Schwartz's time there to beat 48.4. Thierry's lost time, you see, on that Lakes. In fact, he's lost a lot of time. 2 seconds. So interesting there, a bit quicker on the opening, slower, but can he make up time now? Maybe Thierry quicker on the tarmac section. Can he make more? No. 3.7, that's 4th quickest, the slowest of our 4 cars we've seen so far.
So Armin Schwartz remains the quickest through this, but plenty of the top drivers to come. This is Francois Delacour, along with Daniel Grataloup in the Peugeot 206. This is the British debut for this car. They've come back into World Championship. It's simply not strong enough to contend.
I think they're bluffing. I think they're bluffing. You watch, these Peugeots have been so quick straight away. Come down to our first, we look, Delacour 2.5 seconds up. We're really getting now into the fastest cars running today, and of course Delacour is running 2nd overall at the moment on this rally, only behind Kankkunen. So I think these Peugeots are going to be incredibly strong next year. We've got 3 of them running in this rally today, and all 3 in the top 17. So Delacour now around the lake.
I've been trying to find adjectives to describe Delacour. Mercurial, spectacular, mad perhaps. I mean, Francois Delacour was penalised 2 minutes in Corsica for trying to do a recce on a mountain bike. And he met a steward, and the steward said, "What are you doing here, Francois?" I said, "Oh, I'm just riding my bike through." So he took 2 minutes off him.
Again, very wide. They come that uphill left-hander, very tricky corner, deceptive, you can't see the exit, and that's where the lake beckons to your right.
I think he's going to be so much faster than the Skodas.
Well, you'd expect him to be honest, and this the Peugeot really is a front-running team. We didn't see that second split as he came back onto the tarmac. He's now coming up to two corners before the finish. This is where they cut across. That's going to get very muddy as the later cars coming, so it could be a disadvantage to run later. One more right-hand corner. Again, cutting across the grass, spreading mud across the road. And again, a little bit too wide on the exit.
I think he might have lost it on that last section. Just a fraction over 4 minutes to beat Armin Schwartz. Francois Delacour, 2.2 seconds quickest. So 4th here in 1993. Could he be a front runner towards the end? Francois Delacour quickest at the moment through Blenheim. And the next man is his teammate, Marcus Gronholm. Now, here is a dark horse to win this event.
Oh, and he's hit the fence!
Oh, we said somebody would.
I said it was narrow. Now, that is a heavy staked fence. Now, whether he's done damage to that rear left corner, whether the suspension has been knocked at all, that was heavy gatepost stuff. It looks like he's got away with it incredibly.
Yeah, he's another of these fantastically quick Finns. He's driven in this season's World Championship for Seat in Sweden, for Mitsubishi in Portugal, where he deputised for Freddie Loix. And Peugeot said, right, let him drive for other teams. We don't care. We just want him to have the experience. And he's quickest by 1.8 seconds over Armin Schwartz, who had the fastest split time going into here.
Actually interesting, he's only just 3 seconds behind his teammate at the beginning of this stage, so he could move up into 2nd place if he can take 3 seconds off of Delacour. He's taken one of them off now, so can Gronholm move up to 2nd place overall by being quickest so far on our Blenheim stage? There's that awful right-hander. A long right now, and then this very tricky uphill left-hander. They approach probably at 70 miles an hour, but they're down to about only 20, 30 miles an hour, struggling for traction over that crest.
Yeah, but he's a Finn. They drive these sort of roads all the time. They drive when they're going down the slopes, don't they? He knows all about this sort of surface.
Trying to keep it as neat as possible, at the same time keeping the momentum going. Again, wide towards those railing posts. Braking for this slippy left, 90 left, before a right, a split time coming up any minute now. Only half a second, so he's lost time for Delacour around that lake section. I can't see him getting ahead of him in the overall results. Only half a second ahead at the moment.
He could be quickest on this stage at the moment. There's Blenheim Palace in the background and that wonderful view that Randolph Churchill described as the best view in Britain. And Gronholm are heading off now towards the flying finish.
Cutting through the penultimate corner.
They've been watching you see. They saw you do that. They thought that's the way to go. None of them ended up in the straw bales.
Good traction there out of the final corner. The final sprint to the flying finish. 3:53, 4, 5.
1.8 seconds. He made up a lot of ground on that last section there. But then these Peugeots, well, pretty good on the tarmac. Thomas Rodstrom's the next one through. This is the first of the Ford Focuses that we've seen. going down into that slippery, muddy downhill section towards the lake. Thomas Rodstrom. Now, Harry Vatanen, who's watching back in the studio in Cheltenham, knows his co-driver very well because he has Gunnar Barth with him, ex-Vatanen co-driver. His co-driver is normally Fred Gallagher, but Fred, of course, is the clerk of the course on the network queue, so can't drive alongside Thomas. And this is his first ever Rally Great Britain after 10 years in the sport. And once again, he's fancied to do very well here. And here's a question for you. When did Ford last win the Rally of Great Britain?
1979.
You've been looking at my notes.
I guessed. Thomas Rodstrom, of course, sadly won't be in the Ford. He's already gone very wide at that nasty little chicane. There's a tree. He just stopped short of the tree towards the end of the run now. And, of course, Thomas Rodstrom, he's lost his drive with Ford next year with the arrival of Carlos Sainz. So he's on a rally sort of hiding to nothing. If he does well, he might attract a drive for next year. But if he does something silly, he could not get a drive at all. So he's in a bit of a knife edge of his career right now. And needs just a good steady result here, and doesn't need to catch one of those trees.
They did a double cut there. Several drivers looking for possibly no drive at all next year. That one driver, Skoda, we were talking about earlier on, is available. But apart from that, the top manufacturers know their lineups for next year. And that off at the chicane has cost him, well, 6.6 seconds overall. So Rodstrom started so well, didn't finish well. Now, we were talking about flying Finns. This is Tony Gardmeister in car number 10, the Seat Cordoba. And if anybody is the new flying Finn, this is the man they all rate. But look at his bonnet going up and down.
He's got a flying bonnet any minute now.
Goodness me.
Of course, Gardemeister, another driver who's out of work at the moment for next year because, again, the Toyota team disbanding. Didier Auriol have come in to move Seat. So
no, Gardemeister. Rovanperä is the one who is without a drive. Tony Gardemeister, who is really hot property.
Quite right. I'm getting my fins mixed up. Getting my fins mixed up.
He will be driving for Seat next year. He has lots of British experience. Look at that bonnet going up and down there. He's obviously hit something. I mean, I'm reminded of Carlos Sainz earlier in the season, when his bonnet flew up in the middle of a special stage and he and Luis had to get out.
Rovanperä should be confused because Rovanperä should have been the next through the stage, and whether he's gone out onto my straw bales. He's my new hero driver, Tony Gardemeister. He knows the correct line through is on Tiff straw bales.
Oh, we'll have a little
and he's spinning it now. He's getting in a right 2 and 8.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, we should have had Rovanperä through before Gardemeister. He's got a problem on the road. We don't know. We haven't seen him.
Maybe he has. Gardemeister finished third on the Rally New Zealand, and it was an absolutely sensational finish for Seat. It was their best finish bar none, and he was just so delighted. And he really is a very hot property, this young man.
Now, how much time has all that lost him? You see, 44.7, the quickest time our first speed. He's lost 6 seconds.
6 seconds.
And although that doesn't seem much on these first spectator stage days, to get that back in the forest, it's still a hard task to do. And you don't really want to lose more than, say, 20 seconds to the overall leader. And Gardemeister went into this stage running 15th overall, 34 seconds behind. So
you see what they say, you know, the first day, it doesn't really matter. You can't lose a lot of time, but they do say, don't they, that you can't win the rally on the first day, but you can lose it. There's a leaderboard at the moment. Gronholm still ahead of Gronholm, Delacour and Schwartz.
Now he's tight left-hander uphill, so those front wheels sticking out the car, understeering. He's got a lot of lock-on, trying to get the grip.
Where's Harry Rovanperä? Maybe he's next on the road. But we did expect to see Harry Rovanperä through now, but that is Tony Gardmeister. The bonnet's still bouncing up and down.
Well, 6 seconds, can he have made up any time? I think he's probably taking it steady now. He's had a couple of scares on this stage already. Comes to our second split time, yes, 7.9, and lost another second over that section.
Back onto the tarmac, back in front of the house. The spectators being kept very well back at that hairpin. So he's going to be quite slow through here.
These cars incredibly get up to about 120 miles an hour. Just the end of this straight now, they'll be getting to 115, 120 miles an hour before they come over a blind crest. Here, pace note's so important because over this blind crest is this chicane. Tight right, and then an even tighter left. Bit of mud, bit of tarmac, leaves, trees. And, of course, the driver, totally blind, and absolutely has to drive to whatever the co-driver tells him to do. If he says it's flat out over the crest, you go flat. If he says it's second gear, you're down to second gear.
We've seen them when it's really foggy, just switch the lights off and drive in the dark. Gardmeister doing the double cut again. They've been watching you, you see. They've been watching you to the extent they're going into the straw bales. Now, don't go into those ones, Tony, otherwise you could lose a lot more time. Well, he's well outside of Gronholm's time. He's probably going to be outside the top 6 or 7 quickest on this one. 14th in 1996 he was. Tony Gardmeister should do better this year. Not if he drives like that. 12 seconds down on Marcus Gronholm, 4 minutes 8.5 seconds. Well, this is Freddie Loix, who's had a very interesting season as Tommy Mackinnon's partner in the Mitsubishi team. Freddie had a very serious accident in Kenya and damaged his back, was out for a couple of months. He's struggled a bit since then, but he's had a few 4th places as the season has developed. And he was 6th here in 1998, but he's missed a lot of testing. I think Freddie will be very happy with a top 6 finish here.
Yes, he's going through a steady Freddie phase at the moment. We'll see the split time at the moment. He was at 13th overall coming into this stage. And again, that's not bad, 1.2 seconds off. Gronholm, of course, was quickest by about a second, so Freddie having a good opening stage. But I reckon he's going to lose a bit more than that for this next section. It's a bit more technical, easier to make a silly mistake that could end your rally around this lakeside section. Long right, as I said, all those ruts, it's those little tree stumps that throw the car unexpectedly. They wreck you at 30 miles an hour. Now again, we're coming up to this tight chicane.
But we've lost Harry Rottenpera. Harry Rottenpera has not come through here. And there's Freddie Loix.
Very safe and steady. So I think probably went through, we haven't seen him, but Loix, they're very steady through that chicane. Again, seeing the potential dangers. That's where he's losing time, because whenever there's something a little bit iffy, he won't push hard and risk damaging the car and not getting a finish. He's going to look forward to next year. He's got his Mitsubishi contract in his pocket, and he's just going to make sure he doesn't make any other big mistakes before next season.
Yes, you're quite right. We didn't see Harry Rottenpera come through. 4:03.2 for Harry. Freddie losing it a little bit there on the last part, the run up to flying finish. And he's, well, slower than Harry Rottenpera and 7.5 seconds slower than Marcus Gronholm, who remains the quickest driver on this section. Right, here's Colin with bent door.
McRae, who's had a real McRae morning by the sounds of it. Little mistakes, lots of speed. They reckon the Pirelli tyres were quicker in this morning's conditions. They're saying that, of course, they run on Michelin. The Fords run on Michelin, the same as Toyotas and most of the opposition. Colin, more air.
That's the best.
More air than anyone else. So maybe he's got a different tyre on for this stage. Will it have shown? 44.7 to beat at the first split. McRae stops the clock. Yes!
Well,
no.
No.
Half a second the wrong way.
You know, seeing the new doors on the car there, apparently they were up in Silverstone and they had a show car there for the sponsors. And the mechanics went in and just whipped these doors off and went past all the security people who were on their intercom saying, hey, somebody's just come in and stolen the doors off this show car, Colin McRae's mechanics. He's had a difficult season. This has been the first season for the Ford Focus in World Rallying. They had all the problems with the water pump at the start. Tremendous results for them in Safari in Portugal where they won. But since then, it's been a kind of upside-down
Yes,
season.
it's been very disappointing. You know, he's made mistakes, the car's had problems, and Colin always wants to drive to win a rally. But obviously this year they're probably expecting too much. He won a couple early on, probably gave almost a false confidence. And we've seen the car break down a couple of times towards the end of the season, plus a couple of accidents. And Colin really wants to get a good finish, but he knows maybe the car's not quite ready for it yet.
How much will the accident he had in Australia have affected him? If people don't know, he went from 183 kilometres an hour to 0.
He's quicker now, he's quicker now.
I mean, obviously not affecting him at all. He is going for it from the word. Do you think about that at all? You've had a major accident, you're going to your next event?
Colin doesn't. He's had so many, they're like water off duck's back. He won't think at all about that accident. He's so egged on by the spectator day stage. He loves his fans. He can hear those hooters going. He's had the bagpipe man starting him off all over the place. And he doesn't care. And this will be very... Watch over this crest. So easy to make a mistake. We saw how steady Loix took it. And even Colin McRae respecting this nasty chicane between the trees. But here the klaxon's going. And if you want to see someone cut the corner, I think McRae will take more than anybody else did.
I still think he's the man they've come to see.
Scotland the brave. Here we go. This will be more grass than tarmac. Oh.
Very interesting with Carlos Sainz as his teammate next year. Little bit of tension in the team, perhaps. Maybe it'll bring the best out of it.
There's no doubt those corners where they've been cutting, the tarmac's getting more slippery, and these later runners are actually having less grip on the tarmac than the early ones did. And McRae, no, loses it.
Gronholm's still the quickest. That puts him second fastest, though, as you can see on the screen there. Gronholm quickest, Colin McRae second, Francois Delacour in third position. Less than 2 seconds between them. And here is Juha Kankkunen, the most laid-back sportsman I know in the Subaru, 4 times world champion. He knows his way around here. He's won here in Great Britain 3 times. And he's also been on the podium as a winner in 1999 again after a 4-year gap. Winner in Argentina, winner in Finland. Smokes his cheroots, takes his pace notes in English, has been known to do interviews whilst consuming hamburgers. I don't think anything phases this man at all. And he's quickest today.
Very close. 0.2 off. Now, can he get a better second section? So this is interesting. McRae's gone quicker than Gronholm on that one early section, but nobody's beaten him overall. We're now out of this final run to the flying finish.
No, he's not going to make it, so Gronholm remains quickest. I think, just off the top of my head, that's going to put Kankkunen, yes, Kankkunen 4th quickest. But I wouldn't bet against that man being there or thereabouts.
The point is, he's left this stage, he's still leading. He's still got the lead. Nobody's going to catch him. He's going to go to the final stage in the lead. Here we have
Carlos Sainz in the Toyota's final World Rally event, pulling out to start concentrating on their Formula One operation. Probably the most famous rally driver worldwide, the highest paid Spanish sportsman, $10 million a year this man earns, and he's going back to Ford next year. Not that he wasn't short of offers, but Ford are taking him back, so he's going to be driving the Focus alongside Colin McRae. 8 podium finishes this year, hasn't won a race, hasn't won a rally. I'm sure that Carlos Sainz would love to do it, and he's quickest.
Quickest, that's our second split. So again, we're seeing people go quick on those first 2 sections, but nobody seems to be able to finish off the stage and get a best time. But again, I think it's probably because those corners are getting so much mud and muck over them now.
Remember the heartache for Carlos last year. He was world champion going into the final stage at Margam. 100 yards from the end, the engine went. Luis Moya threw his helmet through the window. I've never seen Carlos look as distraught, and you can understand why. He was so close to being world champion last year. Well, he's been world champion twice, he's won here twice. Never discount Carlos Sainz on any surface, at any time of the year, anywhere in the world. This guy is just about the best. You see Luis going 10 to the dozen. Luis Moya with his pace notes. Keeps reminding me, he said, there we go, past those straw bales. Remember there, we went past there the other day. Always giving him reminders about things.
Now, can he stop that clock? Can we have a new fastest man for our Blenheim stage? 55, 56? I don't think, no. Nobody could go quicker. It's the second half. They're all losing it on that last third of the stage, that tarmac covered in mud.
3 drivers to go then. Who can beat Marcus Gronholm? There's our leaderboard. Carlos Sainz 5th.
It's incredible, Cromwell. We're going to have a word now with Sainz.
No, we're not. No, Mark Fogarty trying to speak to Carlos. But of course, we're going to watch Richard Burns coming through. Well, he won this event last year. Can he do it again? David Richards, who sold the ProDrive operation, or 49% of it yesterday, for £75 million. Say that very slowly. Still sounds an awful lot of money. Says Richard Burns will be world champion in the year 2000.
Now, is he quicker? First split coming up. 41, 2. Yes, come on, Burnsy. 1.7 seconds quicker on the first third of the stage.
I mean, isn't it great for the sport in this country to have 2 drivers?
Yeah, Richard always a slow starter. Colin will be the one that goes out, you know, like a bull out of a China in the China shop. But Richard always seems to build up through his stages. Doesn't seem to go flat from the word go. Likes to settle into a rally. And now we see him go through this very tricky little, every driver respecting that. No point. That's where we saw Ron Rodstrom, it was, go very wide there. Burns now coming up to these final 2, left and then a right, where the road's covered in muck.
They've had problems this year with their gearbox, though, haven't they? This fly-by-wire gearbox, this jet fighter technology they've been talking about. You wonder if Richard has become a little bit of a victim of that. Maybe if they've been slightly more conservative with the technology, but then technology is, you have to go forward, you have to develop.
When it's working, he saves time. Good exit there now, 51.2. Where's the split? 56.5 to beat.
No, Burnsy. Second quickest, but a pretty impressive run from Richard nonetheless. Local Oxfordshire man.
He's beaten everybody else, but that early time set by Gronholm, of course, was only about the 5th car into the stage, and still the quickest.
The Colin and Richard show, you see, they're doing ever so well on that stage. He's had a good season, though, Richard. He's won a couple of races, couple of events, Greece and Australia. And here's a man who won in China. Didier Auriol, world champion 1994, in contention here for the World Championship in 99 until he had that accident in Australia.
And this man, another McRae to watch. He's another man that just goes, he only knows one way to drive, absolutely flat out. You see him on board, his mannerisms, he's huffing and puffing and twisting this way and that way. It's been Richard Burns, very relaxed. But Didier will just be setting the car up there for the entry to the staked fence, and he'll just be flat out, penultimate runner. Can we see him go quickest?
He loves the car to be 100% right, doesn't he, Didier? And if the car is 100% right, then he really goes for it.
And anyway, did the Gronholm's fence there.
Right foot braking from Didier, the only top driver who does right foot braking. And remember, he's going to stay out next year. Multi-million-pound contract, future assured. He can go out and enjoy this one.
Sadly, he's lost his championship. It's still a battle, of course, for second place over on the points.
Exactly,
If Burnsy wins and he scores very badly, then he's going to lose second place. So he's still got that pride. Braking hard for this chicane. See the way they set the car up with the back stepping out the wrong way, then the right way to flick it into the chicane. Little dab of the handbrake there, and then struggling for traction. You want to get off that grass bank and back on the tarmac as quick as you can.
Of course, we've talked about Mackinnon being the world champion. Toyota in their last season, other manufacturers, the world manufacturers champions, and that's a great way for them to go out, although I'm sure emotionally they would love to win their final world rally. It's a shame actually that they're pulling out. I know a lot of people think it's very sad that they're pulling out. 1.2 seconds down on Gronholm on the split, so he's probably not going to be the quickest through here. He's had a heck of a season, though. He's just been Mr. Consistent. You know, he wins in China. He's been second in Kenya and Spain. He's had 4 third places. Didier Auriol, very consistent, but also very, very quick. Going round by the lake there.
Yeah, this tricky left-hander. Nobody learned getting into trouble here. It's actually the uphill left-hander. They're getting nearer the edge. I think where they struggle to get out over the crest and get the power down. Here we see it, this corner. A lot of the late runners coming in, the privateers, will have their hearts in their mouths when they go around that corner. Didier's so close to the edge, and that's how these guys drive. They have to be right on the edge every time nowadays. There's no pacing yourself, really, if you're going to win this rally.
Is that the dangerous part there, that uphill? Is that where you think they might just slide off going round, or is it the downhill into the left hand?
They might slide off anywhere. It's just that there it's a lake instead of a straw bed. It's where you pick to slide off in rallying. A lot of rallies, really, it's a bit of pot luck. They all seem to have an off in a rally, and it's pot luck when you get a tree or a straw bale. Now, the split time 3 seconds, so Auriol not quick at all through that lakeside section. He's lost, what, another 1.5, 2 seconds.
So Marcus Gronholm remains quickest, and there's only one man left. But then, what a man to come last. Didier off to the flying finish.
Down this section, this is the top speed section, is at 120 miles an hour. And again, you've noticed all the top drivers really are taking the speed off. They know there's this horrible chicane over the crest. A nasty little right. Giraudet shouting at him to get your foot on the throttle, Didier. Go on, stop mincing about.
But saying it in French, of course.
Of course.
Over the cattle grid.
Rally drivers don't like to use the road. If they get off the road onto the grass, they prefer as much as possible. Didier, of course, using that paddle change, again, a bit like the Subaru. They have got the electronic gear change, whereas the Subaru have stuck, not Subaru, sorry, Ford and Mitsubishi more have stuck with a mechanical gear shift. But it is possibly the way of the future. Full Formula One, traction control inside 3 differentials working in harmony, incredibly technical cars. 6.66 up, very slow for Oriol. We know not why.
10th quickest, Didier Auriol. They say you may not be able to win the event on the first day, but you can certainly lose it. And last, but definitely not least, the world champion. Tommi Mäkinen, 4 times world champion in the last 4 years, with Risto Manisanmäki, his co-driver, and I think Tommy's just going to be pleased to be here. By this time last year, he'd had an accident with the infamous concrete block that made slid on the Hillman Imps oil in Millbrook. And he's just, well, in a class of his own, really. I mean, I was saying earlier on, I was eulogising about Carlos Sainz,